What is up, my peoples? Hopefully your heads. Welcome back to the channel. You know what it is. Deco Loves, and this is Deco Loves Gaming. For those of you who are new here and don't already know, it's your bro, Big Deco, the best, worst gamer you know. And basically what that means is that your boy's not a pro. I'm just a regular person like you who loves to play the game. So if you're here expecting to see epic victory royales and high kill games like you probably do for most of your favorite streamers, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but there's probably not going to be a whole lot of that here. But I do try to make up for that by adding value to my videos in other ways, and the way we're doing that right now for Wednesday What About is with the Best Worst Gamer You Know podcast. And the subject matter of today, I hope, is one that will entice you and intrigue you to want to join the conversation, either down below in the chat if you're live, or in the comment section of the video if you're watching this later. And what I want to talk about today is free. Is it always better? And by free, I'm talking in terms of free things that are provided by the government to us for free. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then there's some challenges that I still need to complete. So as we're talking about it, I'm just going to go ahead and pretty much try to finish out a few challenges that I still have left. All right, so all that being said, pleasantries out of the way, and without further ado, here we go. So first off, what challenges do we still have? Deal damage to opponents while riding a vehicle, search a chest, use a vending machine and a campfire in a single match, suppressed weapons, okay, try to carry all suppressed weapons, deal damage to opponents with grenades or stink bombs, okay, and try to stick to the sky platforms. All right. So before we get into the discussion, I want to give a little bit of context, a little story that happened to me today, which actually has influenced my decision to actually make this the subject matter for today. And that's the fact that, okay, so if you guys are my peoples who actually stay tuned and watch my videos on the daily, then you probably watched my yesterday video, and so you probably then know that I've been sick lately. All right, so those of you who are new and just tuning in, you might hear I sound a little funny. That's because my nose is still a little bit congested, and I still have a little bit of a scratchy throat, so yeah. But if you are some of my peoples and you tune in on the daily and you watched my yesterday videos, then you should already know also that my semester for school, I'm taking summer classes for audio recording and music production. My classes have just started, and my first day was on Monday. All right. Now I forced myself. Homeboy ran away. Good. Now I forced myself to go on Monday to class. It was my first day, and I wanted to make sure, you know, nothing happened in terms of, you know, my teacher dropping me from a class or anything like that. Oh my goodness. Oh, Bloom is horrible right now. So I forced myself to go to class on Monday. But yesterday I just was so sick. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And I was gonna try to go today, but again, I was just feeling too sick. I'm feeling a lot better now. But another reason why I didn't go today was because I decided that, so I forced myself to go on Monday to my first class because, you know, sometimes if you don't show up to your first day of class, they'll drop you from your class. This guy's messing with me, ain't he? I don't know where he went. But yeah, sometimes they'll actually drop you from your class if you don't show up on the first day. So that's why I forced myself. Now the issue there is that for my second class, it didn't actually start on the same day. The first day of my second class was yesterday. And like I said, I felt way too sick yesterday to go to class, so I didn't go. Okay? Horrible. Now, the reason why that's such a big issue is because, like I just said, sometimes if you don't go to your first day of class, then they'll actually just straight drop you from the class. And it doesn't matter if I went to the first day of one class. You know, this is college and classes are separate. So just because I went to the first day of one class, it's not going to count toward the other class. And so I'm a little bit worried because I didn't make it to my first day of class for my second class. And so because of that, I decided to just take one more day and go to the hospital to see the doctor. That way I can get a doctor's note and, you know, I can have proof for the doctor that, you know, the reason I didn't show up for my first day and my second day, which would be today, was because I was sick. And that would hopefully save me from being dropped from the class if that's what the teacher was wanting to do, or the professor. Sorry, you don't call them teachers in college, you call them professor. And so I went to the doctor, and now those of you who are my peoples who view my videos on the regular should already know that I'm a veteran. I was in the Army. I served in Iraq. I'm actually a combat veteran. And so being a combat veteran, I choose to use my benefits and my free, okay, get that key word in there, my free health care that I get through the VA, which stands for Veterans Assistance, because I'm a veteran of the military, okay? So having served in the military, that's something that is granted to me, okay? So that's one of the reasons why whenever I hear people saying, you know, I wish in America we had free healthcare like other countries and stuff like that, it's like, dude, we do. You just have to work for it and do something to earn it, you know? No, yeah, in some other countries it's just granted, but it is available in America. You just got to do what you got to do to get it, like I did, which is serve in the military, you know what I mean? Now, understandable that not everybody is willing to do that, okay? But, and, you know, like I said, other countries, you don't have to serve in the military. They just provide stuff like Medicare for you. Hold up. No! Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh. I do not know how I got that. Was that homeboy that I was throwing grenades at? I freaking saved myself, bro. Did you guys see that? That was crazy. I fell off the thing, caught myself somehow. That was nuts. Where is this guy? I'm getting a lot of action right here, so this is one of my challenges, is eliminations from these platforms. So I think that was Homeboy who I was fighting down there. Alright, so I went to the VA clinic, okay, to take advantage of my free benefits, okay? My free health benefits. Now, here's the issue, and this is why it influenced the topic of the day and made this something that I wanted to talk about. I wasn't able to get my note, okay? I wasn't able to get my note from the doctor so that I can ensure that I don't get dropped from my class at school. And the reason why I wasn't able to get my note is because I wasn't able to see a doctor, okay? And here's the reason why. The reason why I wasn't able to see the doctor is because I don't have a primary care physician yet. Because, again, if you watch my videos regularly, then you should already know this. I don't get sick very often. I don't get sick kind of ever, honestly. It's very rare for me to actually get sick, okay? So the fact that I'm sick right now is crazy to me because it just doesn't happen very often. So the fact that I haven't been to the doctor, honestly, since I've been out of the military, that fact meant that I don't have a primary care provider yet, okay? And so they couldn't just, you know, throw me in, since I don't have a primary care provider. They couldn't just throw me in to see a doctor, since I didn't have an appointment or anything. Which makes, okay, fine, it makes sense. But see, the issue here is that normally a regular person, if you have Medi-Cal, you know what I mean, or something like that, again, my choice not to have it, okay? Because I choose free, okay? I choose free healthcare. It's my choice, all right? So I'm not trying to put the blame on anyone or anything. I'm only trying to make a point, all right? I'm only trying to make a point in this video. That's all I'm trying to do, all right? I'm not trying to, like, put blame on anyone or anything. I'm only trying to make a point here, all right? But if you pay for Medicare or anything like that, Medi-Cal or whatever, you have some kind of Medicare, then you can just use that to go to the emergency, right? You can go to emergency and see a doctor, and you don't have to go to your primary care physician just to see a doctor for a quick checkup because you're feeling ill and you need to know whether it be for school or for work or whatever it might be. You can just go to the ER. But since I choose to use free healthcare through the government, and I haven't seen the doctor yet. I don't have a primary care physician, and I haven't been to the doctor yet. I'm not even, I can't even do that, okay? Ooh, shoot. I want that. Hold on. Oh, chill, dog. Ooh. Where is he? Is it that boy? Okay, okay, y'all need to chill. I'm freaking... Alright, I need to reposition. I'm in a bad spot. Oh. This stupid tree is in my way. Ugh. Once again, the tree is in my way. Oh my god, are you serious? I just killed myself with smoke. I don't even know that happened. Whatever, let me just... I don't know how I hit myself with smoke. That was so stupid. Alright. So I can't even go to like a regular emergency and do any of that, okay? Now, the reason why this type of stuff tends to happen, if I was able, if I was paying for some kind of Medicare, some kind of Medi-Cal, and I went to a regular hospital, they might have a staff big enough to say, actually, yeah, you can see the doctor today at this time, or maybe not today, but tomorrow at this time. Now, for me, I'm not able to get an appointment until the 18th of next month, okay? So I can't just walk in and see a doctor, okay? I have to actually make an appointment, and there's no appointments for until next month, okay? That's the issue with free, all right? And that's what people don't understand, okay? And the reason why I feel like this is so important is because we have an election coming up next year, okay, 2020, and of course it's gonna be, you know, we have the opportunity to either vote for Trump, but then we also have the opportunity to vote for Bernie Sanders. Now, I'm gonna be honest, a couple years ago, a few years back, if you would have asked me back when we had the election, okay, for Trump, that Trump was involved in, okay, that made him president, it was Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, but it was also Bernie Sanders, okay? And there's a lot of speculation that Bernie Sanders was pushed out by the government and all this different stuff, and there was proof of, you know, manipulation of things, and it was supposed to go in favor of Hillary Clinton, but ultimately, obviously, as we all know, Donald Trump ended up winning the election. Even though all the odds were pinned against him, he still won somehow. Um, but if you would have asked me back then who I was planning to vote for, it was going to be Bernie Sanders. Okay, I wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, and that's because I didn't really understand how things worked. Okay, and I didn't understand at that point because I hadn't done enough research and I hadn't paid attention enough yet to politics and government to understand why free is so bad. Okay, now I can make the argument that free is bad because when you have things run by the government, that's like an inch away from being socialist, and socialism is basically the friendly cousin of communism, and communism is what Hitler was, right? He was a fascist communist, right? And, you know, I could make the argument that, you know, socialism is just one small step away from being communist, like how Hitler was. And, you know, the fact that Hitler actually, the way that he gained his point of power was that he sold all of his ideas and everything as socialist. And socialism sounds good, okay? I'm not going to talk about any of those other reasons though, okay? I feel like I've discussed them before on the channel. But either way, none of those reasons that I just mentioned have to do with the point that I want to make in this video. Alright, so I can make all those arguments, but I'm not going to. The thing that I want to make the argument about today, or make the point about, not really an argument, but the point that I want to make today is one that has to do directly with what I experienced today. Okay? If you ask me these days who I would vote for, it would not be Bernie Sanders, because I do not want free to be a part of my government any more than it is already now. Okay? I don't want to get anywhere close to socialism. Alright? I don't want that. I don't want it. We don't need it in America. And what I experienced today trying to see the doctor is exactly why. Okay? And like I said, a year ago, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have had these same points of views. But that was before I started paying attention and I started having to deal with the things that I'm dealing with now, like what I dealt with today. When you have things that are free, we've all heard the term, you get what you pay for, right? And when it comes to things that we need in society, that's that rings even more true. Okay, I choose now. I could pay for my own Medicare, my own Medi-Cal, but I choose not to. Okay, by making that choice not to, okay, and by making the choice to just use the free Medicare and stuff that, you know, benefits that are granted to me for being a veteran, I'm making the decision to have to deal with the problems that come with it. So I can't really be mad. So I'm not really mad about what happened today, but I'm frustrated. And these are the frustrations that if you vote for somebody like Bernie Sanders, these are the type of frustrations that our society in America as a whole, our country is going to have to deal with. Because when you have a free program, nothing in life is free, first of all. Okay? So one of the big things is free Medicare, free Medi-Cal for all. That's one of Bernie Sanders' big selling points. Okay? Now, nothing in life is free. So when he's saying that, he's not really saying, oh, I want to give you guys free health care. He's saying, what I want to do is make Medicare mandatory for everybody, which is what Obamacare kind of did. Because before Obamacare, guys, having Medi-Cal and Medicare was a choice, okay? You didn't have to have it, all right? It was a decision that we were able to make. We could choose to have coverage. We could choose to not have coverage, okay? Obamacare made it mandatory by pinning a penalty on us if we didn't have some form of Medi-Cal or Medicare, because he was forcing us to use Obamacare, which he made to be the cheapest form of Medi-Cal or Medicare available. So in a way, Obama forced us to use Obamacare, okay? He made a law that if you didn't have some kind of Medi-Cal, then you would be penalized at the end of the year. And if you didn't have Medi-Cal or Medicare because you couldn't afford it, you still had to pay for it by having to pay the penalty at the end of the year. So basically, what's the point? You have to pay for it regardless of whether or not you have it, so you might as well have it. You know what I mean? And then, of course, if you were poor, which under Obama, I believe it's 90% of America was poor, then the Obamacare was all pretty much you could afford. And I like to argue that it was all part of his plan. He set it all up that way. But whatever, you could say that's just a conspiracy, and you know, there's no way to prove that, whatever, but I think it's pretty obvious, but whatever, that's just my own opinion on it. But now the problem though with absolutely free is that now everybody has to have it, okay? Well, they don't have to have it, but everybody's going to have it because it's free. So it's automatically everyone has it, okay? It turns into just an automatic thing. But where nothing, no program, no business can run without money, right? If there was no money, if healthcare and stuff was absolutely free, going to the doctors, seeing a doctor was absolutely free, then where would the doctors get the money for supplies? Where would the hospitals get the money for the equipment that they need and different stuff like that? This is the type of thing that I don't understand how people don't think about this. Like, how can it be free? It's impossible. It's impossible to be free because you have to buy things. You have to have things. And medical equipment is not cheap. It's very, very expensive. So where do you think that money comes from? It comes from government aid. Okay? It comes from government aid, which is what makes it so close to being socialist. Now, not alone does government aid make it socialist, because then you could argue that the police force is socialist and the fire department is socialist and things like that. So socialism doesn't only come from like financial support. It doesn't only come from financial aid. It comes from control also. So it's not socialist just because the government funds it. It becomes socialist when the government also funds it and becomes in control of it. Okay, also. So that's a common misconception that people have is, oh, well, if the government pays for it, then it's socialist. That's not true. Our police department is paid for by the government, but it's not socialist. because it's not run or owned by the government. It's, you know, they're individually owned. They're kind of like franchisees, kind of. So yeah. So anyways, but the problem is that the money comes from our taxes. Okay? So government funded means government taking taxes away from us so that they can have money to provide and distribute to these government funded institutions, which is the police force, the fire department, libraries, schools. Anything that is paid for by the government is actually paid for by us still, okay? It's taken out of our taxes, and then our tax money is then distributed by the government out to these institutions and these programs, okay? The issue with that is that we then leave it in the government's hands to decide which institutions and which programs are most important, which ones need to be paid first, which ones need to be paid most. Okay? So then the government gets to decide the priority list of all of these government funded institutions and programs that they actually pay with our tax money. Okay? So the problem with that is a program or institution that we might find to be important, maybe the government doesn't find it to be quite as important as we do. And they put it lower in the priority list than we as a society would. That's one of the big issues right now with education, is a lot of America feels that our education system is horrible, it's messed up. And part of the reason why they feel it's so messed up is because they feel it's not properly funded. Okay? That's what we leave our money, our tax money up to. Okay? When we vote for a Bernie Sanders or somebody who promotes all of this free stuff provided by the government. It's not actually provided by the government, okay? It's provided by our tax dollars, and all we're really doing is letting the government provide their judgment on what's most important. That's really all, you know, the government is providing them. And the reason why that's a big issue is not only because the government gets to decide what's most important, but again, like I said, government funded quote unquote programs are police force, fire department, libraries, school, the school system, you know, all kinds of stuff. There are military. There's so many things that the government quote unquote funds that, think about how thin does all of that quote unquote government money, how thin does that end up getting spread? You know what I mean? Oh, shoot. No, what am I doing? I didn't mean to do that. Ah! I did not mean to do that, man. So think about now how thin that tax money that we pay to the government so that they can pay for all of our government funded programs and institutions. Think about how thin across all the programs and institutions, how thin now does that butter get spread? It gets spread freaking paper thin. You know what I mean? It gets spread so thin. Okay? So not only does the government get to choose which institutions and which programs are higher on the priority list, but then the amount of money that they have, especially after paying all of the things that are higher on the priority list, we have very little funding for the other stuff, which a lot of times happens to be stuff like schooling and libraries and, you know, other programs and institutions like that, because they put military and stuff like that really high, you know, which a lot of people would argue, well, yeah, military is very important. I agree, it's very important. I'm just saying, you know, it's up to them, and the money is getting spread very thin, and as it trickles down, it just gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, to the point where at some point it's almost nothing. You almost have nothing. You know what I mean? You almost have nothing to provide anywhere for anyone. So then when it comes down to small programs that don't, small programs like, for instance, me, free Medi-Cal as a veteran through the government, because you know, through the VA Veterans Assistance, because I'm a veteran. They don't have much. They don't have much assistance. They don't have much government aid, which means they don't have much money. That's all that it means. And when they don't have much money, then they can only afford so much, which means they can only afford so many departments with so many employees, which means that they can only do so much. They can only have so much ability to take in. They only have so much ability to do their job. Okay? A communication ends up being an issue because there's, you know, hardly any departments, and the departments are all screwed up because they don't have the money to be able to hire enough people to have enough departments to properly relay information and paperwork and files and different things like that. And you also run into issues like the issue I ran in today, where they can't hire enough people, so staff is short. So you can't just walk in and take advantage of your free benefit because, you know, the program or the institution can only afford so much. So they can only afford to hire so many because that's as many people as they can pay. And so you can only see these people under schedule, under a scheduled, sorry, hold that thought for 1 second. Under a scheduled appointment. And if you try to walk in, you're gonna be turned away like I was. Shoot, I really have to. No. You're gonna be turned away because they don't have what they need, what is necessary for them to be able to do any better. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we get mad at, you know, the people who work at in these institutions and programs, because you know they're so poorly set up, and there's always misinformation and things getting lost, and you know all these different reasons that we get upset. But the truth is, it's not their fault. They're doing the best that they can with what they're given. You know what I mean? They're truly doing the best that they can. And as much as it sucks for us, it sucks for them, you know? Do you think they want to disappoint, you know? Like, they don't want to, you know, and they're hearing it all the time. People going in, complaining, yelling at them for things that are out of their control. You know, when the real issue is that, listen, this is a free program. We only get so much money. You know, there's only so much we can do. Like, and that sucks for them, man. But that's just what it is. That's what happens when you get free. Government assisted, government funded, government provided. That's what it ends up meaning. Is poor, inefficient, insufficient, frustrating. And so I like the fact that Medi-Cal, Medicare, and different stuff like that is not free, is not government funded, is not run right now. It's run by big companies and different stuff like that. Yeah, okay, it is. And a lot of people don't like that because they think that the governments are greedy, and they think that they're shady and they're scummy, and they, you know, are able to have too much power because they can charge as much as they want and profit as much as they want and all this other stuff. And I understand why you might feel that way. That's why back in the day, if you asked me a few years ago during the election, was I gonna vote for Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or Bernie Sanders, I would have told you I'm voting Bernie Sanders, because I'm tired of Big Brother. I'm tired of, you know, corporations having too much money and too much power over things, you know. But I wasn't understanding the situation and what it really was. I was ignorant. I crossed out Donald Trump. I crossed out Hillary Clinton on my ballot, and I wrote Bernie Sanders on my ballot that year. I literally did that. That's what I did. What was it, 2016? That's what I did. Because I really bought into and believed in this idea of free. And it's a human right. You know, Bernie Sanders likes to say, these are human rights. These are God, you know, God granted rights that we are all born with, that the government is making us pay for, and blah, 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 and all this stuff that sounds good and hypes us up and is logical. You know, it's not illogical to feel that way and think that way, but in society and in reality and the way things actually work and what it actually means, it's not as good as it sounds, and it's not as good as it seems, because at the end of the day, that's all we're gonna get is insufficient, inefficient, and frustrated, because there's not going to be enough funding, there's not going to be enough money, unless they're taking more of our paychecks, a lot more of our paychecks, and basically we're still just broke. And when it comes to socialism, that's what happens a lot of times. Not going to get into that because, again, that's not the point of this video. That's not the subject of it. But it is a fact, and that's what we're seeing happen right now. with Venezuela. Venezuela is a perfect example of it. That, you know, after a while, they have to start taking too much from you to be sufficient enough to support all of these quote-unquote government-funded programs, that society just ends up being broke. You know, that entire country, all of the residents, all of the civilians in that country just end up being poor. Because of the fact that, okay, well, you want free government funded things to be sufficient, then we need to take more of your money, because that's where the money comes from. So, yeah, that was just, you know, something that I wanted to get off my chest today and talk about, and hopefully help people who don't understand as good, you know, hopefully help some people understand it better. But I don't know. Hey, that's my opinion. You know, that's what I think, that's what I feel. We don't always have to agree on everything. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why or why not? Let me know down below in the comment section of this video, as well as your points and your reasoning behind it. I mean, is there something I'm missing? Is there something I'm confused on? Did I inform you of anything you didn't know? Did I help you understand better? What thoughts, theories, feelings, and opinions on this discussion topic and anything that I had to say about it today do you have? Share it and let us know down below in the comment section of this video, and let's talk about it, man. I do read 100% of my comments, and I do reply 100% of the time. So if you comment, I will read it, I will respond. Alright? And if you are cool enough and willing to actually talk and have a discussion, so as am I. You know, I am too. I would actually love it. That would be awesome, because this is something that I feel is very important. I feel like it's a very important subject matter, because I feel like it's something that is very commonly misunderstood and misinterpreted. And especially right now, because we have the election coming up, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be anybody who's going to give Trump a run for his money except for Bernie Sanders, because of the fact that Bernie Sanders is selling people on this whole, you know, these are things that the government should be entitled to fund and give us for free, and these are God-given rights, you know, and things, entitlements, you know, that we're all entitled to and should have, and, you know, all these things that sound good and sound great at face value. Oh, he sniped me. I was about to snipe him. But yeah, like I said, let me know down below in the comment section of the video, and let's talk about it. That's all I have for you guys today, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it, especially because I have Diane here. We're both really hungry, and she's dying from a toothache. So I'm gonna go ahead and tend to her, and get something in my belly, because I haven't ate anything at all today. But once again, yeah, like I said, do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know all your thoughts, theories, feelings, and opinions on this discussion topic, and anything that I had to say about it down below in the comment section of this video. I will see it. I will respond. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Everybody who is here live, everybody who's watching this after, appreciate you. Okay. Thank you for all the love. That's all the like love and all the sub love. But don't forget to share the love with your friends, family members, anybody who you think might enjoy my content. And also, don't forget to like it if you liked it by touching that thumbs up button for me. And if you do bless this video with like love, then please follow through, especially if you're new, and bless the channel with sub love too by tapping the subscribe button. And don't forget to ring my bell by hitting the bell icon that pops up right next to the subscribe button. That way you get a notification every time I go live and every time I post a video, so that you never miss a beat. All right. As always, shouldn't have to remind you, but I will. You're too blessed to be stressed. Life is good. Life is love. Deco loves. Deco loves you, but we out this. Peace.